it's surprising how few people, or maybe a better way of saying it, it's surprising that there's this large a number of people who have accumulated all of this, both intangible and tangible and intangible blessings, have built up this accumulated this wealth of various kinds that are not fully appreciating it, or maybe as much as they could.
Welcome to Your Next Big Project is You, a podcast based around the theme of time. Time to be able to press pause on life. Time to reevaluate what's important. Time to reminisce about where you've come from, what you've learned, and what you've accomplished. Time to revisit your goals, dreams, and vision. And time to remember the people in your life. That's it, my friends. If you've got time, fasten your seatbelt and listen in as we discuss opportunities for the next 5 to 25 years of your life. And remember, your next big project is you. Welcome to our podcast. Your next big project is you. And I've got a special guest today. It's nice when you can connect with somebody that you went to college with, that you know his brother, that you've probably known each other for about 4 decades now. I'm really, really proud and privileged to have my good friend Jim Gould from Alesco Advisors join us today. Jim, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
I'm delighted to be with you today, Leo. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's been such we've had so many good times over the years, catching up on Bonaventure and our families and having some golf rounds together and things. And I really would like to start, Jim. You've had such an amazing journey in your own career. You built this amazing company servicing the needs of individuals and institutions over the last 20 plus years. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for asking. It's been a really enjoyable journey. It's been a great ride. Had the opportunity to work with a lot of really terrific people, both my colleagues here at Alesco as well as the many clients we work with. You know, there's an old saying that great firms are made up of great clients, and we've been very fortunate in that regard, been able to be retained by very high quality individuals, families, as well as our institutional client base, both in the endowment and foundation space, as well as retirement plans. But the journey itself, I think like almost anybody else, when they start a business, it's not, the early years were not easy. You pay a price for that. I have four daughters, and my 2 youngest daughters, I certainly was involved. I was involved with both of them when they were younger, but not to the same degree I was with my 2 older ones, just because of starting the business took a tremendous amount of time and effort. And you pretty much eat, sleep, and drink the business in those early years. And I'm, the first to acknowledge I made a ton of mistakes. I made it. You name the category for starting a business, and you name the mistake category. I've got a couple of stories in each one of those. But with that said, the company was able to survive and ultimately thrive, and which I think is more of a reflection of the validity, a statement of reaffirming the validity of our investment process and our service commitment to our clients. So but it has been enjoyable. Now we're 22 years into it. $5 billion in assets under advisement. We got great group of people here, hiring people right now as we speak. So this is it's good. That's one of the key things is you kind of have to do the opposite of what might normally be viewed as intuitive. So here we have a bear market. The valuations of portfolios right now are declining, and this is the time really what's important to invest and go out and hire people. And
right,
because when we come out of this, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for our firm, and we want to be positioned to take advantage of that.
Yeah. What caught my attention there, Jim, we talked about some of this in the past, is all the learning that went on, raising 4 kids, the business challenges, the mistakes that you've made.
Oh, yeah.
We probably could do a separate podcast just for both of us starting our companies.
Yeah.
And all the things that we'd like to do over again. We
we don't have those mulligans on the first tee as we do in business, do we?
No, it's funny because one of the things I've said for years is that everyone tells you that one of the key things to do to build a successful business is to hire people smarter than than I am, right? And I said, boy, I have a distinct advantage in that regard, right? Because just everybody's smarter than I am, so that was easy for me to do.
Well, it's interesting because you do so much with very successful individuals that are thinking about their long-term requirements, whether it's retirement, wealth planning, intergenerational wealth issues, whatever it might be, as well as the prowess that you developed in the institutional marketplace with endowments, foundations, and many other applications as well. I'm curious because a lot of our work today is listening to clients and talk about those next 5 to 25 years. So beyond the investment discussions, how are we going to properly asset allocate your portfolio or put the right type of distribution in terms of your holdings and things like what are you hearing from clients beyond the management of their money when you talk to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I guess maybe the first thing I would say is just philosophically, I view our firm as a service company that manages money. And I think that really is a point of differentiation, that we do approach our client relationships with a decidedly service orientation. In other words, how can we help them? And rather than have some kind of prepackaged answer from an investment perspective. And so, our clients are dealing with the same things that that you're dealing with, I'm dealing with, your neighbor, et cetera. So what people need, first of all, I believe, is they need to feel secure about their financial situation, whether it's an institution or an individual. And so it's helping them, if they're not at that level, it's helping them understand how to get to that level. But there's a whole, within that framework, there's a whole series of different things that come up. And you mentioned just a moment ago, intergenerational wealth transfer. That's a very significant issue, very complex issue as it relates to families, because there's not a right or a wrong answer. What a particular client may want, client A may want, may not be a good fit for client B. So that really takes some patience and some conversations to take place. And as I was once told, the Lord made us with 2 ears and 1 mouth, and so I ask a lot of questions, and I try to do the best I can in listening, and then help the client figure out what they're trying to do. And talking about specifically about this intergenerational wealth transfer, and then help them formulate an approach. Above and beyond that, there's philanthropy. That's all over the map in terms of what people are looking to do, how they want to go about it, how they want to go about doing it. So those are the types of things, the types of questions that come up. I would say I like our clients to think of us as being able to help them with all things financial.
Okay.
I think that's probably how we go about that. And some people have relatively complex financial planning issues, or maybe purchasing of a major asset. You think about what's going on in Florida right now with Hurricane Ian just coming through there. And, we have clients, a whole series of them, that have made major real estate investments down there, and some of them didn't fare too well with this. So now we'll be involved in trying to talk about how to go about handling that, and to what degree is insurance going to help out? To what degree does it need to be self-financed? Are they in a position where they want to continue to do that and potentially go through another hurricane? So there's a whole series of different things that need to be helpful to, that don't have much, if anything, to do with actual portfolio management.
Yeah, Jim, I like your positioning as well as a service company that really manages money to do this. And from our discussions in the past, I always talk about people doing business with people that they like, and most importantly, that they trust, and thirdly, that they value. And I know from just meeting some other members of your team, your leadership team, and some of the folks that are out in the community doing really good work from the service standpoint, listening to your clients, really making sure you're attending to their needs. Those 3 factors I know you built that likability, trust, value of an organization that emotionally connects to your clients. So you also mentioned philanthropic, and I know you are very, very philanthropic in many, many worthy causes. And it's not just me coming up for a Christmas basketball game to see our alma mater play, and then seeing your company support year in and year out. But there's a lot of things I know, and probably some things that aren't even public that you're involved with as well. But when you're making decisions around charitable causes, how do you go about that process of who to assist? And I see that because I'm sure your clients have got those issues of which areas touch their heart the most. And it reflects in terms of your own value system, because I know you're extremely philanthropic. What goes through your head there in terms of your clients as well as Jim Gould?
Yeah, I think maybe the first thing I'd say, Leo, is that I think that I was raised by parents who really focused, uh, taught their four children to be mindful of others' needs and to help in any way that we can. And so as part of how I was brought up, you and I both went to St. Bonaventure University, where the focus of the Franciscan philosophy of the school is service to others and help to others. So I think that there's not like a lot of thought that goes into wanting to give. That's sort of the way you are, and the way I like to think that I am. So in terms of how do we distribute the money, and how does that happen? Some of it is tied certainly to our client base. We have over 110 not-for-profit clients, and so we certainly try to support them with their fundraising efforts. Almost all of those
Wow.
have some kind of fundraising, and so we do that both at the firm level, and my wife Ann and I do that. I support many of them personally as well. Um, Above and beyond that is they're just there's critical needs in the community, and when they there are always critical needs, but sometimes there's some that are even more profound and immediate, and we need to respond to that. The community does, and we try to do that both at the firm level and personally. And then there are organizations. I've recently joined a board about a year and a half ago called ROC 2025, ROC. That's for Rochester, and trying to accomplish some economic advances for our community that will help those who need the help the most. And I think we're going about it in a very intelligent way. It's led by some, very significant leaders in our community. I'm delighted to be part of that group, and that makes me feel good. I think because we're teaching people how to fish rather than just giving them the fish, which is really critical for long-term success in turning our helping people who are economically disadvantaged at this point.
Yeah. Teaching people how to fish, Jim, that concept is one, as you know, that's in our sabbatical experience. We talk about the concept of abundance. And abundance to me is all around intentional stewardship. You mentioned 100 plus not-for-profits that you are obviously, whether it's your time, or whether it's your talent, whether it's your treasure. It's not always money.
Right.
Correct me on that, right? I mean, sometimes it's just the
No.
time required for mentorship, helping other organizations, might be part of their business strategy, their planning, what they need to do to raise funds. Does that resonate with you beyond the treasure of just opening up your wallet, but in terms of time and talent as well?
Absolutely. I mean, I have gotten involved with clients and non-clients, and in a variety of different ways. I've like you, Lee, I've sat on many different boards, not-for-profit boards, and not that I think I have some extraordinary talent or anything like that, but the few little things I do know something about, I'm happy to try to help those organizations. And that does go beyond just the investment world. I have been involved in a lot of fundraising efforts, both from a strategic planning standpoint as well as implementation. I'm not afraid to ask people for money when I know it's going to a good cause. And I'm also, willing to do the legwork that needs to be done at organizations. That when I say legwork, I mean that both literally and figuratively. Been involved just in the last few years, doing things at not-for-profits, from literally going out there and cleaning out old warehouses and moving things around, and you do that type of thing, as well as try to be involved at an intellectual level and provide again the limited talents that I do have, provide those to those organizations. And then, but the treasure part is important too. And we've been blessed. We try to support organizations as best we can, as I mentioned, both at the firm level as well as personally.
Yeah. I
But
don't know if I have,
go ahead.
yeah, go. Did you have follow-up?
Well, I'm just going to say I love, the word abundance is a beautiful word, because when I hear the word abundance, I don't think of a pile of money.
Right.
That's not what pops in my head. Abundance comes in the most important levels. Parts of abundance are intangible or non-financial, which you had alluded to earlier, and that allows us, when we have those blessings and we're in that type of a position, that allows us to do more and to provide more to others. And there's nothing, for me at least, there's nothing more gratifying than being able to help other people.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's well beyond the money. And when this podcast ends today, I've got a young 26-year-old, a good friend of my youngest son who grew up. I have 3 older daughters, like you've got 4 kids. And it's really just sitting here and listening and talking about his career and the challenges and what he's up against right now, and how to help him to kickstart things maybe into the next year. And I get so much satisfaction out of that, as I know you do, just seeing somebody. And I'll get into that with a question to end our conversation today. But I don't know that I ever asked you this question in terms of who are some of the mentors in your life? We didn't talk about this, and I knew you came from a strong family structure, as you said, your mom and dad raising 4 kids and things. And I was just curious. I don't know that we ever talked about that. We're some of the people that influenced your success in business, or being a husband, being a father, the business side of the equation. I'm sure it comes from all walks of life, but who comes to your mind, 1 or 2 folks, when you think about that and the role they played?
Yeah. So the list is very long, and that doesn't mean that that's not to diminish the role that any of these people have. But I've been very fortunate to have gotten to know and either work with or work alongside, or just get to know socially people who had very significant influences on my way of thinking. That includes some faculty members, both undergraduate school and graduate school. But certainly, I think at the top of the list, I have to go with my mother and my father, who were just wonderful role models as parents, as a married couple. My father had his own business. He worked his tail off for many years. Never made a whole bunch of money, but we always had a comfortable life. And the business ultimately failed, was when I was starting to fail, when I was starting college. And so it came at a difficult time, both for him and for me. But my father accepted it with tremendous grace and moved on and got another job where he was able to generate some income and provide for both for himself and for my mother, of course. And so, I look at that as I think of him and being middle-aged and having his business fail that he put everything into, and having to start over again. That's very motivational, and he did it without ever feeling sorry for himself. He disappointed, of course, disappointed that he had to, let his employees go and shut the business down, but he never felt sorry for himself. He immediately got back on the horse and kept going. So he's a huge motivation. And my mother also, being the spouse of someone in that situation, she was always supportive of him and accepting of what happened, and never ever complained. So those are 2 fantastic role models. I have had as both as clients and as friends. I've had other people who've been hugely impactful in my life. And sometimes it's just having an open ear for me. Sometimes you need to just talk to somebody, and those people have been able to be there for me.
Yeah.
I do the best I can to be there for them as well.
Yeah, I think our backgrounds mirror each other in a couple ways. I believe you would probably say the same thing as I tell people. I didn't come from money, but I came from values.
Mm-hmm.
I came from a hardworking mom and dad like yours, who taught me at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
When people say, "Where'd you learn this?" or whatever, I said 32 Wadsworth Avenue in Avon, New York.
Yeah.
That's where it was done. Like your dad, my father was a laborer and a janitor, and my mother worked on the assembly line at Birdseye, making Cool Whip. And you learn a lot at the kitchen table in terms of treating people with respect, being on time, having accountability, hard work, discipline. There's no mistaking the value system that comes out of that. And I think we've both been blessed with having strong partners in our life in terms of, in both of our wives are named Ann, coincidentally. So I know for your success and my success, Ann raising 4 children, my Ann raising 4 children, there's a lot of parallels there. So the word that caught my attention is significance to do this in our work as well going forward, Jim. We talk a lot about the themes of living a life of significance in terms of making meaningful difference in the lives of others. So here you are as a very successful registered investment advisor, this money management organization dealing with wealth management issues, helping people to live the futures that they want, to properly think through the discussions. But I talk about making a meaningful difference to actually living their legacies. And I'm curious, in your consultative dialogue with your clients, beyond, okay, you got $3 million, you got 5, you got 10, you got $100 million, whatever the number ends up that you're talking to some of your prospects, how do those discussions of significance to legacy start to manifest, start to come into discussions in your prospecting or conversations with people?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's such a broad array of responses to this thinking. And so there are some clients who we have who absolutely almost refuse to engage in that type of conversation, right? So you have that. They have others who are very, very open to it. So let me talk about the people who are more open. And I think what that is to a lot of people, a lot of wealth comes from businesses that people ran. They created a business, they built a business, and maybe they sold the business, or they've accumulated earnings from the business and whatnot. And so what happens is people who are in that situation, they basically been going 100 miles an hour every day for forever, right? They've been doing that for years and years and years. But one of the things is really to just help people to understand that they are successful. Take a step back, and I could say that I'm in a position to say the business that I'm in allows me to give perspective on this. You've done a wonderful job. You've created a great business. Some of the comments that you've made to me today make me feel very good. But it's important that people start to have an independent self-assessment. That they're looking at themselves from an independent perspective, and see what they have done. And also, what is also the case is, to the extent that it's appropriate, is looking around at the non-financial parts of what they're doing. Some of the things that we've been talking about already on this call here is those are the things that are of the greatest importance. And as simple as that is, it's surprising how few people, or maybe a better way of saying it, it's surprising that there's this large a number of people who have accumulated all of this, both intangible and tangible and intangible blessings, have built up accumulated this wealth of various kinds that are not fully appreciating it, or maybe as much as they could. But once you start that conversation, I'm sure you've seen this with your sabbatical program. The light bulb goes on, and all of a sudden, relatively quickly, they start to feel, sort of this gratification, this self-actualization, right? Maslow's hierarchy, the
Yeah.
highest level of looking at oneself and what they've done. You can see people, help people get there. You can't make them get there, but you can help them get there. So I've enjoyed that very much, and it is part of what we do, and it's part of the whole part of the whole wealth management effort is helping people deal with the different factors that they're dealing with that are non-financial in their lives. And oftentimes it's just as simple as what we were talking about, just pointing out just all the good things that have happened.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, for the last couple of questions, let me rewind our lives going back 40 or so years, and then I'll fast forward here, thinking about the future. But we both had that St. Bonaventure experience that's near and dear to both of our hearts. Tell us about that love affair from your end. I know some of my closest friends to this day become brothers to me that all came out of that experience for 4 years in my life to do this. And, I'm curious how it shaped you in your family's lives today, in terms of, what's your take on that in terms of rewinding your life back, thinking about that?
Yeah, well, so first of all, I mean, I got a great education at St. Bonaventure University. I was a accounting major and a philosophy minor. I had a great liberal arts education aside from the accounting and the business side of things, and so that was very helpful to me. I have a handful or maybe close to 2 handfuls of professors there who really had profound influence in helping me understand the subject matters that they were experts in, and so that was of great importance. But like you, Leo, I mean, I have some of the best friends I've ever made in my life, and still friends to this day. I just had dinner with a couple Bonaventure, colleague of mine, a classmate of mine from Bonaventure just last Friday. Wonderful people, and so that's they continue to be very major factors in my life. But above and beyond that, I made a very great friend, and after a couple of years of being with this friend, I decided to date her. And so after 5 years of dating, I decided to get married. And after 39 years of marriage, we have 4 adult children and been blessed with 8 grandchildren. And so, yeah, Bonaventure's been a huge factor in my life. All 4 of our daughters, and they're all daughters. They all went to and graduated from St. Bonaventure as well. So it's a big part of our lives. I was involved with the school in a variety of different capacities since graduating, and have enjoyed all of that interaction with the school, and continue to be involved. Now it's much more tangential, but I still involved with the school.
Yeah. Well, Jim, I'm sure I'm representing the voice of many alumni that know the stewardship of time, talent, and treasure that you've given to the university. So I thank you, representing thousands of people around the globe that were privileged to go to that cherished university of ours. But the last question is this. I remember you telling me that it's our responsibility to continue to help the next generation and beyond, to carry the torch forward. So it's one thing looking back and all the blessings in your life, from your wife to your children to your grandchildren to the business to the friendships that you have all over the place. But what's that really mean to you now about helping this next generation and to carry that torch forward? What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, I first of all, I do think that's hugely important, and I think as trite as the phrase is, it's not talking the talk, it's walking the walk, and not that don't mean to be self-congratulatory in that regard, but I try to be a good role model. I try to be a good role model at work with my colleagues, with the younger people. I think it's very important. One of the sayings that my kids have heard me say many times is, there's a right way and a wrong way to do everything. And, try to always do the right thing, and then try to always do it the right way. And that's what I try to do how I go about my day. And I hope that is viewed favorably and perhaps in a more motivational fashion for younger people. I think one of the other key things too, and this is just the way I try to converse, and very much as you have done with me today, Leo, is is to um, is to ask questions rather than provide answers or give advice. So one of the things I do with my children and with what I do with people here is, when issues come up, and I do the same thing with clients when they're talking about an issue that is important to them, is rather than say, well, this is what you need to do, which, I mean, what do I know based on, 30 seconds of information? They ask questions and get them to come up with the answers, because they want, if you ask the right questions, you allow people to talk long enough, they generally can figure things out. But that is a much more effective way for, for resolving a particular issue than to say, oh, well, here's the response. So I would see those are the two things I would, in terms of carrying the torch or passing, paying it forward, is to try to be a good role model, and then be a good listener. And I think with listening, in particular, active listening skills, is one of the most important ways you can show someone that you care about them.
Yeah. Well, Jim, we both have played a lot of roles in our life, from sons
Yeah.
to husbands to fathers to community members to friends. And I'm sure there's some other ancillary roles as well. And I love what you said here. I'm going to end on this in terms of doing the right thing and doing it the right way. And I'll just say this. I thank you for your time today. I thank you for your friendship. You are one of my role models.
Oh,
You're a guy that's done it right. You've crossed the T's, you've dotted the I's. There's been no shortcuts to excellence in your life, and I applaud you for that. And I thank you for always being there when I needed a sounding board or friend to connect with and to talk to. So thanks for joining us today. A real pleasure, Jim, and much appreciate and value your time, your friendship.
well, Leo, the pleasure was mine, and know that the door's always open if I can ever be helpful to you in any way again. Thank you for having me. This was an enjoyable conversation, and hopefully the next one's on the golf course.
You got it, buddy. Just help me read that putt again, okay? Okay, buddy. Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.